everyone, welcome to another match of Temur Snow Control. Today we're playing Mono Red Obosh. First time I've come up against this deck with Temur Snow Control, so this is going to be interesting. Our starting hand seems fair. Turn 1, Arcum's Astrolabe. Turn 2, Ice-Fang potentially. A bit heavy on lands, and we drew another land on the Astrolabe effect, but that's okay. Mana Leak is good. Our opponent most likely won't be casting anything turn 2 unless it's a 1 mana spell. So this would be a good time to cast Ice-Fang. We draw another land and another land. I swear I am cursed with this deck in drawing lands. It seems to happen every game, even though I don't necessarily play an insane amount of lands. Lightning Bolt comes down and we're just going to let that resolve. I'm assuming I have more important things to counter here, like a Boros Reckoner. So that's definitely going bye-bye. End of turn, probably makes sense to go get another island and opt. Force of Negation, yeah, you never know. Brutal, just brutal in terms of land flooding. It's just brutal. Our opponent takes their companion into their hand. Astrolabe is really not something I wanted to draw, but at least we have Cryptic Command. We can counter their companion if that's what they're going to be playing this turn. Yep. So this is a 100% counter. Counter draw. Yep. We draw. It's incredible to experience this a second time. The amount of lands we've gone through easily over half of the lands in about 6 turns. Half of the lands in the deck, which I run 22 of. It's just brutal. And now Glorybringer is coming down. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating when this deck does this. I know this is magic and it's variants, but it's just brutal. It just really is brutal. So we draw a Lightning Bolt, but it's not enough right now. We're going to take more swings, a Stormbreath Dragon, and yeah, it's time to concede. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. So we flooded hard on lands. Blood Moon seems dead here. Disdainful Stroke actually seems good. Magmatic Sinkhole also seems good. I'm assuming I keep that in there. Spell Snare is literally a dead card in this deck, or against this deck at least. Anger of the Gods just seems too weak, too anemic. Most of the creatures our opponent is playing are most likely very big. Pulse of Marasa probably makes more sense here. It looks like I feel like Anger of the Gods can do something. I think I just need to fill up the slots. So the starting hand is okay. It's okay, it's not great. Our opponent is mulliganing down to 5. Just frustrating off of that first loss because we definitely can take on this deck. It's just we can't survive if we just draw all our lands. I think rushing out Wrenn and 6 is important now because our opponent probably won't have much pressure here. We take that land back, and hopefully we can fetch for our lands so we don't draw them because it's just brutal. Another land draw. It's incredible sometimes how variance works here. It's just incredible. I decided to do a main phase Coatl just to draw something that's not a land. We're gonna get Scred, that's okay. We draw another land. Blood Moon. Luckily, that's not a big deal. It's not a big deal because, well, actually, kind of is a big deal right now. I don't know why I played the Scalding Tarn there. I should have played the snow-covered islands, so this was a mistake. This is 100% a mistake. I should have played a snow-covered, and that's going to set us back big time here. Because if I'd played an island this turn, that means next turn I would have played another island. I could have played Quick the Command to bounce their Blood Moon. Now we have a Sarkhan Fireblood. You see here, it would have just been better if we had the island down from the last game. From the last turn. So everything is delayed. And this is not looking good for us. So they're ramping up into more mana. And a Glorybringer comes down. It's probably gonna go and hit our Renin 6. Yeah. Which is fair. I suppose I would do that too. Okay, so a lot of hate against Renin 6, but that's okay because that buys us some time. So what do we do here? It's actually pretty tough to know for sure. It looks like my plan right now is to get rid of Glorybringer, which makes sense because it's a huge threat. Sarkhan can ramp as much as they want, but it's not gonna do much if they have nothing to play. Another Glorybringer. Alright, I guess we are just doomed. Or at least it feels that way. Let's see if it exerts. It does. Okay. That could be in our favor. Now we can do something interesting. Having Sarkhan ultimate is going to be a problem. Now we wait and see if they cast a spell. If they do, we can counter it and bounce a permanent back to their hand. In this case, I would most likely target Blood Moon. Yep. So now we can go fetch. Archmage's Charm is not bad. First, we want to cast Uro, though. Yeah, I think fetching first makes sense. If I draw into another land, I'm going to flip out. Sometimes Xmage does this where it lags and you tap for an extra mana. It's very frustrating. But it's okay, we weren't really gonna cast Zero again that turn. Another Blood Moon. This time, well, it's not another one, it's the same one. And this time we're going to counter it. So we get hit again. We draw another land, which is exactly what we wanted, right, everybody? Not really. So now we're going to cast Uro and have counter magic up, which is pretty good. We could even opt. Definitely don't want to land. Dear Lord. Do not want to land. Arkham's Astrolabe is good. We'll draw off of that. Oh, that's a good draw. Let's see what our opponent does. So we need to get rid of Sarkhan as soon as possible. We'll start by countering Stormbreath Dragon, most definitely. And let's see what our opponent does. Lightning Bolt. Ah, yes. So now they're going to attack with Glorybringer, Exert, and kill Uro. Can't do much there, but it's okay. We'll just cast him again. We also have Jace in this case, but Uro is definitely more important right now. We could, if my math is right, cast both. Yep. We draw an Archmage's Charm. Now the question here is, do we cast Jace, or do we keep the counter magic up? And I think the counter magic mana is more important. Glorybringer here is exerted, so this is going to be a problem. Blood Moon I'm actually inclined to let resolve, only because we do have Arkham's Astrolabe now, so we have our access to green. At the worst case though, if Uro is killed, it means we won't be able to cast him again unless we draw another green source. That being said, our graveyard's also empty, so that's going to take a while. So first things first, we're going to attack. And we're going to take out Sarkhan, or at least try to. Keranos, God of Storms is actually pretty interesting here. It's going to allow us to start whittling down our opponent passively, I guess you can say. I still think it's important to keep our counter magic mana up. Another Stormbreath Dragon. Another counter. This is why we didn't want to cast Jace, because we just need to be able to stop these types of creatures from coming down. It looks like our opponent doesn't care if we kill their Planeswalker, but we can actually just kill them right now with the Keranos effect. And then we can start swinging into their face with our 6/6 Titan. Probably makes sense to do that first. But it looks like here I prefer casting Jace. We're going to try and lock our opponent. They have 0 cards in hand. Anger of the Gods is perfectly fine. But it looks like I put it to the bottom of their library anyway. I think that was a mistake. I might have just misread the text on Xmage, because I actually have no problem with them drawing Anger of the Gods. So that's a misplay on my part. Should have read. But hey, it actually worked out here, which is pretty funny because they drew a mountain. So it makes sense that they're targeting Jace, but that's okay because we have a backup plan. And we draw a second Ice-Fang, which is awesome. Our interface is a bit clunky here. Oh, another 3 damage. Beautiful. And another counter spell. So our opponent at this point is pretty stuck. Now we're swinging in for huge damage. We're gaining life. We're drawing cards. And at this point, it would be very hard for us to lose. I think I'm happy with the cards I have in hand. So look at the top card, and our opponent gives up because I think they saw the writing on the wall there. It was pretty grim. So that game went a lot better because we didn't necessarily flood on lands, although it did look that way for the first few turns. Do we need to make an adjustment to our deck? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything here that we need to swap out. Looks like I prefer Cindervines here, just as a backup plan for Blood Moon if it comes down early. So I guess that's fair. It probably does more than Pulse of Marasa. Our opening hand is not bad. It actually can prevent that kind of Blood Moon play. You draw another Force of Negation. Yeah, need a breeding pool. So I think we're just gonna force out Cindervines from now, just to get it out there. Ironically, we're slightly short on mana right now, but if we hit our third land, that's fine. We could actually counter that, which is perfect. Our opponent still takes that one hit from Cindervines. Let's see what we draw. Another Arcum's Astrolabe. Unfortunately, those are dead in our hand at the moment. So that's a little unfortunate. So Boros Reckoner is going to resolve, but we're going to just get rid of it immediately before our opponent can do anything annoying with it. We're going to take damage ourselves, unfortunately. We get our third land, which is perfect. Play our Astrolabe. Draw another Force of Negation. Now we can play our second Astrolabe. Draw another one. Alright. We're going to play our third Astrolabe. This is kind of funny. But I suppose I don't mind the cycling through our cards here. We're kind of Blood Moon proof at this point. Our opponent takes their companion. We draw our Anger of the Gods. Now keep in mind, we still don't really have an attack plan here. We don't have any real threats apart from Snapcaster Mage. Probably going to do Snap Bolt, end of turn. I don't see any reason why I should wait. Scred, alright. I don't think I'm going to protect my Snapcaster Mage, but I'm still going to bolt them. Cryptic Command is good, but we don't have enough mana for it, so we'll just wait. As long as our opponent casts a non-creature spell this turn, I'm happy. They got nothing, which is perfect. 2 bolts. Still don't have a threat. Another land would actually be welcome as well, given that most of our threats require 4 mana anyway. So we get our land, that's perfect. We'll just wait, no rush. I mean, anything they're going to try and bring down now, we're going to counter. I don't see us waiting. Yeah, like Glorybringer as an example. I don't see why I would wait for a Glorybringer. I mean, why I would allow it to resolve. Counter draw makes a lot more sense. I should have gone for a Forest there, just for Blood Moon purposes, I suppose. But again, we have Cindervines, so it doesn't really matter. Obosh. Also going to counter that. More counters. I'm sure our opponent is fed up with it. Let's bolt them end of turn. Start putting some spell pressure. Ice-Fang is not bad, actually. Alright. We're just going to do a normal cast of... or not. That's interesting. Why did I do that? I feel like that was a mistake. Why would I have wasted one of my Force of Negations there? But it is what it is. So we got another Snapcaster Mage. We can Snap Bolt end of turn. Or Snap Archmage's Charm, which probably makes a lot more sense. Yeah. That's a beautiful play, and I think that's probably going to elicit a concession sooner rather than later. Oh, I decided to choose Cryptic Command instead, which is much better. And we have the mana for it. And we draw a Mana Leak, which is actually pretty great. Let's see what they have. Do they have enough? Anything they cast here basically is going to be Mana Leaked. So I don't think they're going to be able to have any fun here. Unfortunately for them, but fortunately for us. I almost feel bad doing this, but I think this will get a concession. Probably swearing, yes he is, and we win. So, apart from the insane land flooding in game 1, which literally cost us the game, quite literally, we can see that this deck is actually pretty well suited to play this kind of deck. Temur Snow Control is pretty well suited to play this kind of deck, which in this case was Mono Red Obosh. I guess I consider it Mono Red Obosh aggro, even though all their creatures are 5 mana. But or 3 mana at the very least, but mostly 5 mana. It's an interesting deck. It seems like it can be pretty brutal, but we are playing the counter game. We do have threats of our own, and we can, as you saw from in game 2, we can kind of recover, which is rare for a Temur deck. Usually Temur in Modern has a lot of trouble catching up if it falls behind. We kind of did in game 2, again mostly due to land issues, but we still managed to get through. We managed to get through a Blood Moon, and we won. And then game 3 was pretty much set and match as well. We were under control completely from start to finish. So yeah, I actually did have a lot of fun playing against Mono Red Obosh. I guess partially because it was relatively easy to deal and handle, but I think it put up a good fight. It's challenging, but we ended up on top at the end of the day, which is why I wanted to share it with you all. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy my content in general, I would appreciate a subscription. Helps me know that you enjoy seeing my content and want to see more of it. It also helps build a community, which is exactly what I want to do. Thanks, and have a good one.